2005 will be one of great change on the motive power front. It'll mark the end of many first-generation workings on the network. In this programme, we'll document the swan song of these veterans throughout the country during 2005. By the summer of 2005, just 9 Class 37s remained in the EWS fleet. 3 of these are needed on the Rumney branch in South Wales on Saturdays, and these are needed to operate until the end of the year. In addition, 2 are used Mondays to Fridays on rush hour services. On Saturdays, the line to Rumney is unit-free. The numerous station stops provided plenty of sound. Semaphore signals added to the atmosphere. This display of veteran motive power was made all the more remarkable by the painting of 2 of the fleet into classic liveries. 37425 was rolled out from Toton Workshop on the 12th of April and soon proved a major crowd puller in the valleys. Here the empty stock leaves the carriage sidings alongside Cardiff Canton in readiness for taking up a working to Rumney. Later that day, the large Logo machine arrives back at Cardiff Central. Next to de Toten's workshops was 37411, which was turned out in green livery as D6990. Both the repainted 37s were to take part in the celebrations marking the reopening of the Vale of Glamorgan line on the 12th of June. Here the duo head down the valleys in readiness to take up these duties. The 37s were to top and tail a total of 3 return trains from Cardiff to Bridgend in addition to the usual service of units. Here they arrive at Bridgend, where the line from Barry joins the main line. Incidentally, the turquoise stock was used until the autumn of 2004 on the Class 37 loco hold service over the Settle and Carlisle. For operational reasons, the train ran to the west approach to the station before returning to collect passengers for the return run to Cardiff. The next view is from the branch itself, as the train heads away from Bridgend. This scene was taken near Landau, around 5 miles along the branch. It's difficult to believe this was once a slow-speed freight-only line. The new passenger service runs at speeds of 60 miles per hour, and stations have been opened at Llantwit and Rhws. Later, the train returns at Landau. In the background can be seen the power station at Aberthaw. Aberthaw Station was closed 41 years ago. The box remains open, controlling access to the power station. There's one other area where the EWS 37s provide scheduled passenger haulage. Scotland. Here, the Fort William sleeper uses the locos based at Motherwell. The 1955 from Fort William begins its long journey. These trains were scheduled to be replaced by Class 67s by the autumn. On the 11th of June, the Scottish Railway Preservation Society ran a charter employing two of the class for a trip over the West Highland Line to Fort William and on to Mallaig. Motive power was provided by EWS's 37401 and 37416. These were to top and tail the train over the West Highland extension, and here climb away from Glenfinnan. Finally, 37401 approaches the buffer stops. This may well be the last appearance of EWS Class 37s on the Mallaig line, as Fragonset Class 31s are now planned for future trips to this Highland outpost. After a 20-minute turnaround, the 37s depart Mallaig. "37416 leads as the special enters the loop at Glenfinnan. The return over the West Highland line from Fort William was made with the 37's double heading. Class 37s are also at work with other operators. Driver refresher runs were made from North Pole to Dollans Moor and return, with Class 37s in the late spring. Here, two EPS liveried examples drag Eurostar sets on the approach to Ashford. Later that day, it returns through Western Hangar, en route for North Pole, with a 5XO2 1331 from Dollans Moor. The next day, the return working is on the final approach to North Pole at Kensington Olympia. Pathfinder's tour The Solent Siphons employed a pair of EWS Class 37s on the outward leg of the tour from Derby to Weymouth. The EWS Locus will doubtless make a number of final runs later in the year. A rare working for 37401 the Royal Scotsman occurred in mid-May. Earlier on this day, it had run light engine to Didcot after working at the Midhand Scala. It was due to have returned north dead in train on the 6M65 Didcot to Carlisle, but at the last minute was put on the front of his working and worked as far as Bescot. It was instead the 66 that ran dead in train. The 6B41 bin liner from Oxwell Mains to Powder Hall regularly uses the 37 employed that morning and evening on the Fort William sleeper. The timetable change of June marked the end of Virgin's Class 87 Loco Haul services from Euston. Thereafter, Loco Haul trains continued, with hired-in Class 90s on an as-required basis. The two daily Silverlink rush hour services from Northampton to Euston and return continued each weekday after the timetable change. The 1822 for Northampton departs Euston. From the 12th of June, this used only Class 90 haulage. Virgin operated Class 87s mostly on services to Wolverhampton on as-required bases. This is the 1710 to Manchester.
.004 on 1710 to Manchester.
The Back the Bid Network South East liveried 87012 was one of the specially liveried 87s. It works a Wolverhampton to Euston service through Cheddington. There was another electric haul service north of the border. Loco hauled services from Edinburgh to North Berwick were Class 90 hauled during the summer to cover for the non-availability of units. Many of the Class 47s, rendered redundant by Virgin, Anglia and First Great Western, are now in the hands of other operators. A Fragonset example is working a railway touring company special to Carlisle. At the rear is another Fragonset loco. The West Coast Railway Company's Intercity liveried 47, with a two-tone green 47, are working empty stock from Fern Park to Scarborough via the East Coast Main Line. A Freightliner operated 47 in former Virgin colours heads a football special from Manchester to Cardiff. This example is now operated by Freightliner. It was formerly a Virgin loco and then First Great Western, and working the 5Z23 Wimbledon to Caerwent via Salisbury with two VEPs, 3405 and 3456 in tow. The Riviera train's corporate blue liveried 47 is dragging the 1433 Euston to Wolverhampton between Nuneaton and Wolverhampton. This was the only occasion a Class 47 worked these Virgin diversions in 2005. A rare appearance of one of Freightliner's 47s is seen on the 6M16 car train from Southampton to Crewe. This working has been a regular user of the class. The XP64 liveried Riviera trains, Class 47, is hauling a unit from Fern Park to Wimbledon on the 21st of April and passes through the Windsor Line platforms at Clapham Junction.
The approaching train is not scheduled to stop at this station.
Former Anglian 47714 is operated by Cotswold Rail. Here it heads a Heartland Rail charter from Shrewsbury to Peterborough. A Class 57 and Class 47 from the West Coast Railway Company are working a rail tourer charter from Skegness to Bath. The privately owned Hastings unit was used until June 2005 as a stand-in on services from Ashford to Hastings. On the 7th of May, it worked a charter from Hastings to Lincoln, running via Peterborough and Spalding. From Lincoln, it ran empty stock to Barnetby to lay over in readiness for the return. The Chinner and Princess Risborough Railway held a gala on Sunday the 10th of April, with resident bubble car in action alongside steam. Perhaps this is what the branch would have looked like in the 1970s and 80s, if it had remained open. A major attraction on the line is the resident Class 31, completed in green livery as D5581. Here it approaches Chinner in the shadow of the Chilterns. The railway's Class 08 and Ruston shunter heads towards Chinner. At Didcot, Great Western Railcar number 22 is again in operation, after being restored to a very high standard. The date is the 30th of April 2005. In the spring, public services started on the Wensleydale line from Redmire to Lemming Bar. Local haulage was provided by 37003, one of two of the class on the line. This was an evening diagram run to coincide with the nearby North York Moors diesel gala. The railway also has the services of a 101 unit. This is the normal traction on this line, which operates a year-round daily service. Class 101 Unit 101685 is now working on the Elscar Railway. The unit now contains destination blinds applicable to its new home, that is, Hemmingfield. It's seen in service on the 2nd of May.
Uh-huh.
45112 was to haul a convoy of locomotives from the Severn Valley Railway at Kidderminster to Alton in connection with the Midhants Diesel Gala of the 14th and 15th of May. In the train are 20001, 2227 and D1013. ...2005 will mark the end of the veteran Mark I electric stock on the Southern Third Rail network. This stock is now well and truly non-standard. The slam doors are now alien to a travelling public used to automatic doors, while in terms of safety, they don't match up to new generation coaches. Late May was to see the end of slammers on the South West train services from Waterloo. Slammers in service with Southern trains would end in late August. The company's services from London Bridge to Horsham were irregular for the class right up until the end. Here, a service from Horsham calls at Salford's on the 9th of June with a 4 Sig in charge. Southern Trains also maintained a fleet of 4 VEPs. Here at Hawley on the 9th of June, services from Horsham to London Bridge call at the station. At this time, the Horsham trains were worked mostly by slammers. By the start of the new timetable on 12th of June, they were to be cut back to a handful of workings. The Gatwick Express regularly saw a Class 73 diagram until the start of the summer timetable. However, after the 12th of June, a recasting of unit diagrams meant that the 73 was held in reserve and finished altogether from the end of July. The 16th of April marked a remarkable series of workings on South West trains. A Class 73 was to work with a 4 SIG unit number 1398 and 4 VEP unit 3418 on a series of runs from Waterloo to Alton and from Waterloo to Basingstoke. These workings were to mark 73-109 Battle of Britain's last runs in its old livery, before repainting into new South West trains' colours. Next comes a service from Waterloo to Alton at Ashvale. Scenes like these have now finished. South West train services are seen with 4 VEPs and 4 SIGs in charge 5 weeks before the end of the company's use of slammers. At the close of play, South West Trains had a fleet of 21 units. The last working for South West Trains was on the 18th of June, with the Seaside Slammer running from Waterloo to Weymouth and return with the Celebrity blue and grey units. Here the stock heads away as empty stock for Bournemouth. This may well be the last appearance of this veteran stock at Waterloo. After this date, 2 units have been retained by South West Trains for services over the short branch from Lymington to Brockenhurst. South Eastern Trains will be the last to use slammers, with the last services expected to run in late October. By July, they still had 40 units in service based on the depot here at Ramsgate. This is a 4 VEP on a shuttle from Dover arriving on the 1st of July. A unit runs empty stock from Ashford to Ramsgate. The closure of the line from Dover to Folkestone due to tunnel maintenance is one reason for the continued use of these veterans. The magnificent signal box at Canterbury West provides a fine backdrop to a 4 VEP unit on a train to Victoria. Finally comes a train of former South West trains 4 Veps and a 4 Sig, en route from Wimbledon to Caerwent for scrapping. The train heads away from Swindon, diverted via Kemble and Gloucester to reach South Wales. Hart's rail tour, the Thames Trader, employed a Class 67 and 59 to top and tail the train from Euston to Oxford, and later in the day on its return to Victoria. Here they head along the Rover Cowley branch and pass the old BP oil depot. Later the tour works south from Oxford to Didcot. These 67s are top and tailing a private charter along the West Coast Main Line. Another 67 is working the 5X51 Slade Green to Doncaster, hauling 2 Southern 465 units. Until 2004, most of these stock moves were in the hands of 47s. 67s worked from Old Oak Common to Barton Hill to collect a pair of 56s. The Serco test train is now worked by 67s. This is a Derby to Old Oak Common duty heading down the Chiltern line. A Class 58 on the main line. Running some 85 minutes late, 66137 has a Furtis liveried loco dead in train on the 6M44 Eastleigh Yard to Wembley Yard Enterprise. The 58 is bound for infrastructure duties in France. "4145 has been very active on the main line in recent months. On the 4th of June, it worked a Bristol to Blaenau-Festiniog charter for Pathfinder tours. Here it departs Llandudno Junction and is about to take the branch for Blaenau. Later, the special returns down the branch at Glanconway. One of the Fragonset 31s working an inspection saloon from Leeds to Skegness. Note the intercity livery. A rare visitor to a London terminus, Fragonset 33 103 Swordfish is seen with an inspection saloon, Caroline. On the 29th of April, Network Rail's measurement train failed while on a run from Swansea to Derby. 31233 rescued the unit, and the next day 31285 was added to provide this double-headed spectacle. On 3 days in June, Class 31s were to work a shuttle service from Swindon to Castle Cary in connection with the Glastonbury Festival. At Westbury, the morning train from Castle Cary arrives. It would then shunt into the sidings for a 40-minute layover before continuing the journey to Swindon. The Fragonset Class 31s are leased by Wessex Trains for special duties and as a stand-in for unit failures. One was painted in Wessex colours during 2004. Later, the 31 departs Platform 1 for Swindon. On another occasion, the 31s depart Westbury for Swindon to collect more visitors for Glastonbury. Finally comes an afternoon working for Glastonbury approaching Bruton. Each year, the prophets of doom claim the end of loco-haul variety on the network. And each year, they seem to be proved wrong. Perhaps it's just a case of knowing where to look.